back to the Unleashed. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. Listen, last time with the other video that I made, there were some certain things that I can't talk about if you guys know what I'm talking about, the jab. And they deleted the video right away. And they're taking that very seriously. If you go to talk about it or anything like that, they'll give you a strike like they did with me, and they'll block it. At this point, if you guys listen to me, you already know my stance on that whole thing, alright? Treat it like the mark of the beast, and for those that have taken it, pray that it isn't, okay? But that's the whole stance on that. Alright, that's why the video was taken down. Right, real quick, if you guys don't know, I have a Rumble account, okay? And you're more than welcome to go there. So any videos that get taken down, they're going to be up over there. And I've put up as many as I could from this channel as a crossover because they're not as stringent or blocking on people or anything like that, okay? So if you ever see something go down or you want to watch it over there or anything like that, you're done with YouTube. I do have a Rumble account under the same name, The Elysians. You guys can find it, no problem, okay? So just real quick for that. Alright, what I'm about to say is very controversial, alright, and everything that you want to hear. And I just ask, that you go to the Lord in prayer. In no way take my word for this. I want you to pray about it because of the controversialness and the seriousness of what I'm going to say, alright? And on the way out here to my camping spot, as you guys know that I don't have a home or anything like that, and I'm just out camping, I was asking for a confirmation if I should talk about it. And the video I was listening to talking about, our job to pray as Christians, and God's already ordained it, but the working mechanism between the two causes the unleashing to happen in it, alright? And the guy used the word unleash and unleashing like 100 times. I mean, it was just like banging on the door of my soul. Like, this is what, is talking to me, because if you guys don't know, God gave me that name, The Unleashing, for this channel, alright? I mean, this is something that He's given to me, so, I mean, it really talked to me. And, it's been weighing on my heart all week, big time, so heavy that it feels like a black hole. If I don't talk, I'm going to collapse upon myself. And, I have to get it off my chest. But the controversialness of it is you'll understand why the weight of it's so serious and stuff like that. So I picked up the Bible today, and you guys know that I read it and I continue on through, so I don't just jump around or anything like that. And I kid you not, I'm in Ezekiel 12, and I'm looking for a confirmation, another one other than what I've just heard driving out here to the spot. And I literally get this, Ezekiel 12:21, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, what is the proverb that you have in the land of Israel, saying, the days are prolonged, and every vision faileth? Tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel. But say unto them, the days are at hand, and the effect of every vision, for there shall be no more any vain vision, nor flattering divination within the house of Israel, for I am the Lord. I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. It shall be no more prolonged, for in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word, and will perform it, say the Lord God. Okay, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's really standing out, and you'll understand what I'm talking about with what I say, alright? And I'm going to tell you exactly what I heard and exactly what happened, okay? And you can look at this objectively, and I usually tell you guys, to listen to what I'm saying and everything like that, but definitely don't be afraid to go to the Lord in this. Don't just take my word for it. I want you to pray about it, ask the Lord, and of course be praying for the rapture and everything like that. I did get a confirmation with this as well. I'm going to tell you the whole story so you can see how I looked at it objectively, and even I'm pulling myself out in a third-person perspective and saying, is this really real? Alright, so just being fair as I possibly can be with everybody like I usually do, okay? But here it goes. Last week on the 13th, alright, I put out that video on the 12th, okay? And it got deleted that night. And that night before that had happened, I had a few, I was having a couple beers, and I've been stressed out of my mind. Everything is getting up to the wire with me, and I'm by myself and everything like that, and I felt inside, like a voice talking to me that I shouldn't do it, and I was like, that's weird. I've never had an issue or been told or anything like that in this circumstance. Well, I ignored it, and later that night I realized that the video had gotten taken down, And it really pushed me over the edge. It's like, man, I'm already out here living in a tent right now. I go out of my way to go put a video out, you know. It costs time and money and everything else that I don't have. And then YouTube will just take it down if you're telling the truth, you know. And the frustration was over the top, and I ended up sinning. Anyways, all right. And the next morning, you know, it's the 13th of May, and I had already told you guys in the last video I would be honest with everything, and I had not heard from the Lord for since September 13th, 2019, especially on anything on the Rapture or anything like that, all right? And I was being as honest as I have not heard anything on it. He hasn't said anything, you know? And this is going to blow all that completely out of the water. And anyways, I'm sitting there outside the tent, and I'm just thinking about everything, and the voice comes back to me, and it's clear as day, you know. That's why I didn't want you to do that. And I'm like, wait a minute, were you talking to me last night, God? Is that what is going on right now? Is that this voice? And God answers yes. And I'm like, why can I hear you so clearly right now? You sound just like my conscience. And he told me that it was because of the isolation that I was in right now. And I go, God, I'm in isolation all the time. I'm around other people and stuff like. I'm not around other people. I live by myself and everything like that. And he told me that that even though I'm not around other people, the proximity of being around others and stuff like that, because of, this is going to get into some controversial stuff, there is a worldwide psychic connection that everybody shares. The government knows this and has done tests on it before. So when you work in like retail or something like that, and there are people that are coming in and buying a certain product, you can't figure out why, especially when the product's not on sale and you don't know where it's coming from, there's no bid for anything like that. It's not a coincidence. There is a worldwide connection that we all share, and it has to do with us being a family. All right, what we were originally intended to be, and a whole body, and how we're supposed to have fellowship with each other, feel each other, and sense each other, and things like that. And there is a real connection there. And what I was told was that is because when you are around the other people and stuff like that, you are picking up those other signals and things like that, which I do already as it is. And there's a blocking that happens. And I'm out here literally by myself, not around anybody else, and it was coming in loud and clear this morning. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm talking to you right now, if this is really real, then I gotta ask it. You know I have to. And I'm like, and you guys know where I'm going with this. I'm like, I know the rules. I know that nobody knows the day or the hour or anything like that, so I won't get down to that. But I'm gonna ask, is it this year? Before I could get year out of my mouth, he goes, it's most definitely this year. And I go, whoa, in total shock. I go, whoa, are you kidding me? I'm like, you answered that so fast. I'm like, that's like what it says in the Bible, that you'll answer us before we even get done in the millennial kingdom. And he goes, yes, exactly. He said, except it's going to be even better then. I'm like, I like the sound of that. I'm like, so how soon are we talking about before I could even get it completely out of my mouth? He says, it's sooner than you think. All right. This is what you guys have been waiting for. This is what I've been waiting to say. This is the rapture confirmation that it is this year, all right? This is what I was told. Okay, you understand now why I said, you know, pray about it and everything like that, and why it's been weighing on me? Because I don't know if I was expecting anything like this, especially in a confirmation in a year or something like that. I was told almost time and soon, but this is like literally down to the year, and I'm told that it's sooner than I think, all right? So obviously, you know, at the end of this, I'm definitely asking for a confirmation, and I do get it and stuff like that. But I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm like, I can't believe you're talking to me like this right now. It's so clear. I'm like, I got to be fair about this. I'm like, this is so clear. It's like my conscience. I was like, I hear you coming in right now, but I'm like, and I mean, we've talked before plenty of times, but you usually just say like one word or something here, you know, and it stands out. And I'm like, even when last time when we did have a real conversation like this where we were discussing things, I saw you sitting in front of me in the spirit in Dos Hombres back in 2014, and right now I don't see you. I just hear you talking to me. And we proceeded to conversate for about an hour. And as I asked more questions and things like that, he was just answering right on the spot, and I talked about all kinds of different things, and what's going on with everything and stuff like that. So, from this point on, I discussed that. I said, after he was talking about the drinking and stuff like that, he told me, no, you don't have a problem with it. And he's like, and it's true, when you do have a drink, you literally end up talking more about me. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's what I've always said. Like, I really do. It like opens me up. I talk even more about you after I have had a drink. And he's like, but that's not the problem. What it's doing is it is opening up the door for you to a weakness, for you to sin in an area that you're struggling with. And for right now, you need to be stronger with willpower in that area. And I was like, you're being awfully cool about all of this right now. I'm like, when I'm talking to you, I'm like, you're not coming down on you, you're not beating me with anything. I'm like, you're conversating with me like a coach, like somebody that really cares, and he's coming up with a strategy. I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. And I was like, you're so cool to talk to. And I'm like, I mean, that's the only word I can use. I understand it's kind of like a slang, but I just want you to understand, I'm like, you're amazingly easy to talk to. It's totally awesome. After this, we conversated more, and I said that, I was like, why is it when we hear from you or experience these things, that people say, in the same way that you can give an example of Jesus showing up and the apostles seeing it and knowing it, but when they go to show, or, he's performing miracles and stuff like that, but yet they don't realize that their Messiah is showing up. And, there's just so many different aspects where we take it like that. It's like you want that proof, you want that physical, so you can go show the disbelievers, and you don't get to do it. Yet for you, or the person that believes, it's clear as day in their heart. And I go, why is that? God, it's like a cloud. You can see it and look at it, but when you go to touch it, your hands go right through it. And he told me that's how it's supposed to be. That's part of faith. And I'm like, really? I can understand that it's part of faith, but I'm like, it's just, it's tough. And he goes, I know, and it's part of the development point, and that helps you grow. But he's like, it's not always going to be like that. It is going to change. There is going to come the point where it is physical. There is no denying it anymore. You will see it. It's clearer than day. It's 100%. But for right now, while we go through this test, that's kind of just how it is. And I go, man, that's really amazing. And then I proceeded to go on to more serious questions. And I said, God, if we're talking right now, seriously, and we're conversing like this, I've been waiting to ask you a few things just that I've been holding in store since, until I got to heaven. But if we're talking right now, I might as well just ask him right now. So I did, and one of the things that I've always been concerned about, I really love God. I really care about him, and if you don't already know that, and I've always had this bad thought, that no matter what, all right, most people don't look this far ahead or this deep in anything like that. I've always had this worry that no matter what, because of the nature of God, because how advanced he is, how far ahead he is in thought process and everything like that, even when we're brought up to the level that we get to, a little bit higher than the angels, where we can think, we get to inherit everything like that, is it still going to be for God where he at times shuts himself off or walks away from it to his corner of a dimension that we don't even know about? And because of his intelligence, because of his advancement, that he's like, still playing with, the same way we'd be playing with army figures or toys on the ground, right? They don't have a mind. We have to pretend. We have to play along. And I've always had this worry that was how it's going to be for him. He wouldn't have true, total fellowship. And he said, no, that's not true. He's like, it is. And he told me that's why we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And I told him, wow, the responsibility of that is off the charts. I'm like, you're the only one worthy to be doing that. I can't even imagine the difficulty that is into making something that important, with the choice and everything that we have. But no, we are going to be brought up to that level where we have a conversation, we're intelligent enough, and we're no longer, just like Pinocchios, we're the real deal. And I thought that was very interesting. I'm like, wow, that's something that I've always wanted to know about. And then, I talked about something a little bit more controversial, but I wondered the implications of when we were born, if that really plays a role. And I won't get into this too much. I don't want to get a bit sidetracked on this, but it's definitely a question that I was saving for later that I wanted to ask about. And It had to do with our births and the time that we're at. All right, because of what I can do and see and look into things and the way that my mind works, I definitely have taken notice to beyond average amount of people and the times they're born and the correlation to their acting in the way that they are. All right, just as an example that you can figure out for yourself, I have more friends and people that I know of that are born between the second half of August and the first half of September than anybody else. Every single one of them, including family members, are money and physically orientated more than anybody else. They are so orientated by the world, there's a part crying out in their soul that's missing. It's a spirituality part, all right, that I have. And whether they know it or not, they crave it. They crave it and they desire to be around that, to be around me and to hear that, because it's a part of them, a piece that's missing, all right? And I've taken notice of this in lots of different ways and at the times that people are born and stuff like that, all right? And what I asked was, I'm like, does that really have anything to do with anything, or am I looking too deep in this? And the answer is that it does. All right, but it has been taken and twisted and turned into false teaching and things like that. But there is a correlation between when we're born, and the best way that it was described to me is that it's the same way that it would work in a family or something like that. Or if you're building a house, all right, you got your plumbers, you got your framers, you've got electricians. They're all playing a part, and when they all are working together, that's how the house gets built. It's the same way with our family. This whole body that God created was designed to be a family, to work together, to help each other out, to care, to lift one another up, all right? And there's different roles that's played, and I was told to look at it the same way as the 12 tribes of Israel and their placement. I said, okay, that's interesting, and I'm like, I figured there was something to it, but I'm like, I won't go any deeper into that, all right? So then I asked about my father, my stepfather, if he was going to still play that role in what I saw in the vision. It was the one thing that I was impressed upon that it wasn't for me to know about. So I don't know if that's going to play out exactly the same way, or if it is and I'm just not meant to know about it. Later discussing that with Dustin, he's had the impression that since I told him that it might not go down that way anymore, because if it did, I would know the exact time. I can agree with that. And, so that's interesting. What I'm telling you right now, I mean, it's very controversial in all the stuff that I'm saying. That's why I said go to God and pray about it, and why I didn't just come directly out with it or anything like that. We talked further about a bunch of different things. I told him, I was like, God, you've been watching me the whole time. I've given everything for this cause, everything. I have nothing except the shirt on my back. I'm like, and I've really been chased up against the wall right here, and I want you to see that. I'm like, there is no greater love that I have than you, and I will follow you all the way to the end. And I'm like, and we're getting very close to that end right now, because I mean, I don't have anything left here. I've given up house, job, money, people, love, anything. I'm like, and I'm up against the wall right here. I've given it all up. I'm like, God, you saw what happened last night. I was given some money for preaching. I didn't keep it. I got rid of it right away. And as you can see, I have no price. I will not be bought at all. And I've done this completely for free for you. And he said that he knew, he saw, and he was watching everything like that. Why was that? Why he was talking to me on the 13th? I don't know, because that happened the night before, But I was like, all right. I mean, you see everything going on, and my only hope really is in you. And there was a lot of stuff that I just kind of talked on back and forth, and I'm like, it's amazing how clear a day this is, but I'm like, God, I got to be objective here. I'm like, because I can't see you, because it's not fast like it has been before, and I'm like, I know that you talk to me different every time. It's like Aslan from Narnia. I'm like, you show up at different times, and it's always different every time. And like, and this time, it's so clear. It sounds like I'm just talking to my conscience, and I'm like, so I have to be objective to that, and you have to understand what I'm about to ask you. I need a sign here that this is real. I need a confirmation. And not only for myself to believe that this is real, and I'm not just talking to myself and hearing everything what I want to hear, because when you tell me that the rapture is definitely this year and it's sooner than I think, I can't think of anything more that I do want to hear, right? And I'm like, so I have to ask this. Not only that, if I'm going to share it with anybody, I'm going to have to show them that I went through this and ask for a confirmation. All right? So I look over to the right, and there's a boulder there, right? It's like 3 feet across or whatever on the beach. And I go, okay, I need a confirmation. I need to go on the other side of that rock and I need to find something. And I go, and I'm not into rainbows and lollipops or anything like that. And, you know, it's not my style to ask for a heart rock. So, you know, that's suspicious in itself. It really is, because, I mean, I would be more like to ask for a sword or a battle axe or something like that, you know. But I literally asked, I'm like, okay, I want to find a little heart rock back there, you know. It's got to be like pink in color. And it's got to be distinct, you know, that I'm going to know that that's what it is. And I'm like, or no, maybe jade color. I'm like, no, we'll go back to it. It's got to be pink heart rock. And as I get up out of the chair, I'm like, actually, God, you'll know what to do to get my attention. And I'm like, but that's what I'm going for. That's what I'm saying right now. And I had no intention of talking about any of the stuff that I've just told you about. So I go around the side of the boulder, and I get down on my knees and I start looking around at the little rocks and stuff back there by the beach. And I'm looking around and I find a nice skipper, and I like to skip rocks and stuff like that. And I look over to the left and there's a little piece of glass that's about an inch or so, all right? And it's a little triangle piece. And I go, oh, you gotta be kidding me, right? And I get upset and discouraged, and I'm like, a piece of glass? I'm like, God, if you were really talking to me, I'm like, you could have just told me there's a piece of glass back here and that would have been good enough. Unbelievable. I'm just talking to myself. I'm completely losing my mind. This is ridiculous. So I get up, I grab the rock, walk down to the shore, skip the rock. It shoots out across the lake perfectly, you know? I'm sitting there thinking in frustration, and I'm like, man, it was so personal. I'm like, oh, screw it, I'm going back. I'm like, I need another crack at this. I turn back around, go to the rock, and as I'm walking up, I'm going straight for that glass piece that I just got done bitching to God about, right? I'm like, unbelievable with that glass piece. I'm like, ugh. So I go up there to grab that piece of glass, and as I'm bending down, I kid you not, underneath the glass piece, just to the side of it, is a heart rock. And I feel like I get slammed by 3 dimensions in the back of my head like an accordion, super fast, because the shock of it is overwhelming. Not only is it a heart rock, but it looks like an actual heart, like an organ. Here's the picture of it. All right, not only does it have the fat and what looks like sinew and stuff going up the sides, built-in quartz, but it's got the shape of it, and like the holes are where the arteries and stuff are coming out of it. And I'm like totally blown away. Not only did I ask for a heart rock, but I got something that was like 3-dimensional. It was way better than what I was expecting. Some kid drawing that's on somebody's refrigerator. And as I pick it up in total shock, walking back to my chair, I go, God, this is exactly how it's going to be, isn't it? We're all expecting something in heaven. We're looking for what it is, thinking it's going to be great, like that heart rock I just asked for, and we're going to be blown away by something that's even more of a 3-dimensional look, like what you just gave me here. I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. I don't even know what to say. I'm like, you really gave me a heart rock. I'm blown away. So I go back to the table, look at it, totally in shock, and continue to talk to him, for the rest of the time and the rest of the day off and on. And it was completely clear. And I was instantly put into a good mood through all of this. The same kind of mood that I've had since the vision where the rapture takes place. And I go up. And I'm just thinking about everything, and I'm talking to God, and I couldn't be more happy. And I call up my mom, and I tell her the story, and I'm like, be as objective as you want. And I'm like, show Paul, my little brother. And of course, the first thing he says, is, wow, it actually looks like a real heart. And it's like, yeah, that's the whole point, and my mom sent it to my sister or whatever else, and of course I call up Dustin, and no, before I did that, I was about to call up Dustin. I told God, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, you got me down here on this beach all by myself. If you want me to talk to somebody, I'm like, send him my way. Literally on the spot, this old veteran guy comes down, and we get in talking to it, and he tells me he's got cancer and stuff like that, and we got to do a discussion, and I told him about Jesus, and he was shaking his fist at the idea, and we were talking because he had read the whole Bible and stuff like that, but I'm like, that's what they do, and I gave him the whole lay down, I'm like, if you see this stuff start to line up and it's way closer than it looks, and it really happens like I've said, I'm like, that's going to be the confirmation for you, and I'm like, you have this up until your death, And you know, it sounds like it's coming soon. I'm like, you're talking about a free gift here. Don't pass it up, you know. And we talked, and he went off thinking about it, you know. And it was literally what I just got done asking God for and praying about. So then I call up Dustin again, and we talk about it. I show him, and he's blown away because it's literally that. And I'm like, there is no way that I can get out of this good mood. And I mean, not only now did I get a confirmation, and 2 confirmations on the way here, it's been about a week, to share this, because I didn't know if I should, you know, or what, and YouTube gave me a strike, so I was kind of blocked for a week from leaving a message or anything else like that. But, you know, I've just been obviously I've been thinking about this so much ever since it happened. I literally, the day after I told you guys I haven't got a confirmation, I don't know if I will, I get over an hour-long conversation with confirmation that the rapture is this year. It's definitely this year, and that it's sooner than I think. And I'm just like, I don't even know how to process this. So obviously, objectively for myself, you know, I had to ask for a confirmation. I couldn't just take it, and not in the way that I was talking, because it was too easy to talk to, too smooth. It was really, really nice. And so for my own objective against it, you know, to be fair, I had to ask for this confirmation, and I was given that. I'm like, wow, I really can't argue with it, you know. And you know, I've listened to the divide right now that's happening inside, you know, the body. Anybody that's on the fence at all, they're either getting bribed over or shoved off. They're getting picked their side. You're going in the rapture, you're staying behind. All right, the divide is right there. I mean, it's happening faster and faster. And, you know, I've been hearing about it from people. You guys are writing in. Family members are just slipping out just like that, you know. And I've been grateful, because I thought, you know, my family is ready to go and everything like that. And you know, I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not dealing with that. I'm hidden down here on the beach. There's no way bad guys are going to get to me or any problems, the force of darkness. And I've just been in an absolutely great mood, you know, all week thinking about it. I just had that real joy of the Lord that I have just like after the rapture vision, hearing this, you know. And I literally get a phone call from my older brother, and he calls me up out of the blue. So I talk to him a little bit, and I'm sharing some of this stuff, you know. I'm like, yeah, it's really exciting. We're going to go home soon. And you know, I've been worried about him for a while, because he's been so wishy-washy in the whole thing with pan, trib, and all that other stuff. And, of course, I've discussed it before with you guys. I'm like, the tribulation and your determination of when that, or the rapture of when that happens, right, does not determine if you go in the rapture or not. Your determination of when the rapture happens shows the level of where your heart is with love with the world. You can look at it like a gauge. If you're believing the rapture happens at the 6th seal, all right, you're in the world still too much. You need to come back to your first love. If you're a midpoint tribulation, you've definitely got some problems, maybe some false teachings in the Bible. You could be led over to that you're one of the 144,000, if not the 2 witnesses. If you're a post-trib believer, you're so far off, you're anti-Semitic usually, you're so in love with the world, and you've built yourself up that you're, you know, going to somehow make it, and it's all off of you and stuff like that, like you see it, right? You literally can look at it like a gauge, okay? And so that's what I've told you guys that before. So your determination of when the rapture happens, right? If you're looking at the mid-trib, you have a spiritual blindness that's inside of you. I'm telling you that right now. And it doesn't just pan itself out. You don't get to think that you're post-trib. If it was that way, then it wouldn't matter. Anybody could believe whatever they want when the rapture happens, and you're just getting taken up. Everybody's getting taken up, but that's not the case at all. You will be shown if you're taken up by your actual belief, and until your heart is right in the place that it needs to, you won't be revealed to. It's the same way with flat earth, like I've told you before. You don't get to just pull out of it. You have to go straight to God and have Him pull you out of it. When your heart comes back to Him being your first love, nobody will have to tell you. You'll just see it as clear as day, okay? So anyways, I'm talking to my older brother, and, you know, I'd warned my mom before about him, that, you know, he's been really wishy-washy, and I had a conversation with him, and he said he came back to it. You know, he's been doing all this other stuff, but the truth is all he needed was a little push, and he just got a raise at work. He's still living in California. Yeah, and, you know, that says enough right there. If you are still in that stage, it shows that you're holding on to the world. But I get into a conversation, my brother starts going off. He finally reveals himself, starts going off about how the rapture isn't real. John Darby made it up in the 1800s. None of it's real. He's got the connections with pastors that know, and we're going through trials and stuff like that. And I finally, after 10 minutes of listening to it in shock, it wasn't shock, I was just shocked that he finally came out with it and stopped faking it. I exploded on him. We got into a blowout fight that we've never even been in a fight, but we got into a blowout fight that if it would have been on the street like this, it might have. It's going to be somebody's going to the hospital. We've never fought like that. I've got my brother here who's been in martial arts for 40 years, and then you've got me who's been street fighting my whole life and has, killed people in combat. And I'm always looking for an opportunity to take out some trash, especially when it's not, especially when it's off on this situation. And this was like a seriously heated brother conversation, and we exploded on each other, and we're not even talking anymore after this. And I'm literally thinking afterwards, I asked God for forgiveness. I'm like, I was trying to stay calm in this, but I literally talk to so many people all the time. I've been in so many fights and arguments online. I've just had so much weight coming down on me, feeling the hearts of people all over the place constantly. It's just constantly this burden that I'm carrying. And, and then to think that you're almost there, and you've dealt with it, and then your own family turns right at the finish line. Like, like a Celiador when he's supposed to throw the ring into the fire, and he doesn't do it. He says, no, keep it right at the finish line, and the ring's allowed to go on further. And, that's exactly what it's like. I'm just like, unbelievable. And he got this new promotion at the job, and it sold him out. It pushed him off the fence over to the other side. Now he can't even see the rapture coming. And it's the blindness, the love of the world that pushes you in. And what it is they, like I've told you before, they build up this belief around what they actually want. If the rapture and tribulation are starting right now, that really goes against what they want with retirement plans, vacation trips, everything like that. It's blinding them completely to the fact of the lockdowns and everything else that's going on. And they can't even see it anymore. And this is what happened with him instantly, And they just get instantly spiritually blinded. And the only way out of it, of course, is to go to God, and He shows them and stuff. But really, really upset, disappointed with my brother. I'm just like, unbelievable. I can't even be on the beach hiding out here without an attack coming in. Of course, that snatched my joy like that I was holding on to. And it's the forces of darkness always coming after me and other people, I'm trying to stay encouraged and everything like that, but and it really is. It's encouraging that this is all about to happen, but to watch my brother sell out, my older brother, like right at the finish line, that's tough. It's tough for me to see, Thankfully, my little brother and my mom and stuff, they're all hanging in there, And I think my sister is, and I pray that she is every day, and the whole family there is hanging in there too. But right here at the finish line, the whole dividing that's taking place and what's happening is really, it's really profound, and nobody's just getting in there. I've told you guys before, I only saw 8 people going up. The numbers are exactly what you expect, half of 1%. I heard from Mark Lang recently, about the children going up. That's the most wonderful thing I could possibly hear. Kids going up, because I didn't get to see that in my vision. I just saw, from adult perspective. But I totally believe that kids, the innocence up to the certain age gets to go, and that's really great for them, because the world has gotten so dark, and they do everything they can to block kids. I mean, the videos on YouTube and stuff like that, they don't want kids watching. It's not for their protection. It's so they don't learn about this stuff, and that becomes the responsibility of the parent. That becomes the responsibility of the parent that most parents don't take and teach. Recently, I went to southern Idaho, and I was staying with my friend, and I've talked to him from the Army a long time about God, and I got a chance to go up to Seattle. We went up there, and me and my buddy were the only ones in all of Seattle and Washington and Oregon that weren't wearing masks. I tell you what, we walked in the restaurants and stuff like that, and grocery stores, and people are just looking at you, and we're like literally the only ones not wearing masks. And we went to this one restaurant, and the lady's like, I'm going to have you have a mask if you're sitting there. I'm like, why don't you take that mask and just shove it back under your desk? And I'm like, I'll stand outside and wait. And we walked in, and we sat down, no mask, and started a little uprising. And then people are in there, I'm not wearing my mask when I walk out either. But anyways, I got to talk to an Army buddy up there about God, and God's still using me to go out and witness to people in covert operations. But one of the most amazing things happened, and And I was talking about God with that one. I was having this conversation on the 13th, and I was like, God, thank you for letting that happen. I'm like, I almost didn't do it. I'm like, as bad as it is for me losing my whole rear end of my truck, right, which costs all the money that I have, of course, which only lines up with what I saw in the vision. You know, I'm totally broke as a joke, which is why I'm told I'm going up. You'll never have to worry about financial issues ever again, or a stupid job. But, you know, I maxed out my credit cards paying off this rear end that costed like $2,500. And, but anyways, I go down there, and the night before I went down, it was really weighing on my heart, my buddy's daughter. And I knew that there was something going on there if I could sense her all the way up in North Idaho. I knew that she was either close to crossing over to immortality or had already done it at some time. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about giving your life to God. And I went down there, and I found out that's exactly what was going on. She had been to a church camp before when she was younger with some friends in Kansas, and kind of gone through some stuff and went to church and heard some of the Bible stories. And, you know, it blows me away because when I start talking to kids, they can't get enough. It's like cupcakes and candy. This is the greatest stuff they've ever heard. And these kids are just one question after another. They're just like, wow, this is amazing. You know, everything that they want to know and hear about, and all the stories of the Bible. I mean, they couldn't get enough. I'm reading Bible stories to them at night before they go to bed. And, and, you know, I asked if they had a Bible. They had a couple kids' ones. I showed them how to look in the kids' one with the pictures. But if they wanted to know more of the stories, they could go to their grown-up Bible. And I'm like, here's the verses on these kids' ones. And I mean, the little boy's taking his Bible to school to show his friends and talking about different things. I'm like, they're just on fire instantly. And I hear about people all the time in the comments, my kids don't listen, blah, blah, blah. And I already know what's going on with that. That's bad parenting. As plain as day is that you hide your kids from the truth, all right? Mostly because you don't want to know it yourself, and you put them under this age accountability of 20 years old where you're not have to worry. It's like you're failing miserably. You should have been talking to your kids the whole time about it, because when you actually do and tell them the real stuff, they can't get enough. It's absolutely amazing. It's the most wonderful stuff they've ever heard. So we continue to talk, you know, and I call up Dustin while I'm down there because I was only going to stay a couple weeks, and I'm talking to the daughter, and she's 11 years old, you know, and she's gone through the prayer, and I told her everything, you know, and we'd kind of gone over it because she'd kind of heard about some stuff before but didn't know, so I told her about it, and she decided to make that commitment for herself. And the son, who's 8, hadn't done anything like that, you know, and I wasn't going to say anything because I was already in a situation. I'm at my buddy's house, you know, I talked to him about everything like that, but he doesn't believe in God. And I don't want to act like I'm indoctrinating anybody or anything like that, especially since I'm staying there as a guest. So I'm in this extremely difficult spot, and at the same time, I'm getting pressed, on the other hand, by God to talk to them about it. And I'm like, man, if this gets brought up at the table, on like dinner table or something like that, I'm going to get into a huge blowout fight with my best buddy, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm like, why does this always have to be so difficult and so hard? So I literally call up, so I'm talking to the daughter, and, you know, she'd already done it and stuff like that. And, you know, and I told her, I'm like, you're going to have to talk to your brother after I'm gone and tell him how to do this and stuff. I'm like, you think you can do it all? And she goes, yeah, I'll try. I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's seriously important because I can't do it. But I'm like, if you do it, you'll be okay. And literally, I kid you not, that night she has a rapture dream. She's only 11 years old. Has a rapture dream where she's going up and her little brother's staying behind. And I'm just like, oh, man. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyways, I go out and I'm about to leave the place, right? Because I was only staying for 2 weeks, and I'm talking to Dustin, and I'm like, the daughter's giving her heart to God. I'm like, the little brother hasn't, but I'm like, you know, I don't know what to do. I've kind of left it in her hands to do it. I'm in a tight spot, and I kid you not, I lose my whole rear end of my truck. It just explodes. I take it into the shop. They have to fix it. They have to order a new one, and I end up literally having to stay 2 more weeks. It costs all that I have, but in the process of this happening, I get the opportunity where it gets presented to me, and we're at the table, me and the little brother and the daughter, and they want to do the prayer because they didn't know how, and they want to be sure and anything like that. And I told them, I was like, if you guys do it with me, it'll be 100%. And I'm like, you really want to do this? You want to give your life to God? And they absolutely do. So we go through the prayer, and they both got saved on the spot. And I'm just like thanking God. I'm like, this is the most amazing thing ever, you know. And they both give their hearts to God. It's totally incredible. I'm loving every bit of it. And anyways, so that was totally awesome. And then they were cool about the whole thing. They only brought up conversations and talks when certain parts of the family wasn't around. They knew when to come in and ask the questions and stuff like that. They were already picking up on everything. They know. Kids know. They're smart. They can tell instantly who's legit, who knows the most, who knows what's really going on. They can just tell. They can sense it. And there isn't a spiritual block that happens with adults. I mean, they can cut right through that like a knife. It's absolutely incredible. But the two kids get saved. Anyways, I'm down here talking on the 13th as well. And I'm like, God, I'm like, only you could sit there. I'm like, it stunk that I lost the whole rear end, but I'm like, I wasn't going to say anything to the kid. And I kept feeling pressured by you, and you literally took out my rear end just to keep me there long enough so that I did that. I'm like, thank you for that. I'm like, as much as that was bad, I'm like, that's exactly what needed to be happen. I'm like, I was really worried in that situation. That was a tight situation, but it got done. And I'm like, all glory to you, because otherwise it wouldn't have. So, I leave there, and it's like, God's still using me. He's still putting me into positions and things like that where I get to do that stuff. But time's up. It really is. I'm up against the wall. I don't see myself in new jobs or new houses or anything like that. It can't even happen. I won't even be able to be in this area anymore. There's so much Californians and moving coming in that, I mean, you can't even get a place to live. So, I mean, just looking at the way that everything is, I mean, it is all lined up to happen, and I'm left with falling back exactly what I'm told that it is this year, and it's sooner than I think. And, I've been as objective as I can about this and fair in the whole conversation of what I've said, but this is literally what's happened over the last, little bit, and this is what I was told. And now I'm sharing this. I'm just kind of pouring it all out right now. And it does feel better to get it off my chest. And, I'll end up going to a place that has internet and putting this video out for you guys to hear. But, like I say, go to God in prayer about this. It was very interesting to actually hear the date of the year, and I've heard people say stuff before where they ask for a confirmation, and is it this year and a lightning bolt happens? They're like, yeah, it's a confirmation. So I mean, I've heard the same stuff before, and it turns out not being the year. And then I'm told this, and I ask for a confirmation, and I get one. And, I couldn't help but be objective towards it. I can't, to be fair, because I don't want to lead anybody astray or say something isn't true or give hope where there isn't. Of course, there's always hope in God. But I'm just being as fair as I possibly can on this, and asking you guys not to stone me for doing it. And but I did. I finally got the confirmation that I've been asking for, and that you guys have been waiting to hopefully hear from me. And I was told that it's time for it to happen. It really is going to happen. So if that's not exciting, I don't know what is. And you guys are welcome to look at that picture, of the rock. And that's what I was showing. And like I say, it literally looks like a little heart to me. And, I'm being fair about this as much as I possibly can. And I even asked before making this video for a couple confirmations. I told you the video I watched literally used the word unleash and unleashing 100 times on the way out here. I'm like, okay, I get the point, unleash. And then literally in the scripture that I read, it's talking about how the prophecy is no longer just talking or looking forward to the future. It's happening right now, that I just read out of Ezekiel. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth, And look up for your redemption draweth nigh. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is all legit and it's really happening. And I'm being as fair as I possibly can about the whole thing. And that's exactly, even maybe more than I wanted to say, of what happened over the past few days and talking to God. But I wanted you guys to hear the whole story and everything that I was talking about and what was said. And for those that are looking to get out of here, time's up. It really is going to finally happen now. And that's absolutely incredible and amazing. And I'm grateful that I get to partake in knowing that and being able to witness it and tell others about it. It's really exciting to be one of the watchmen that gets to hear that it's time. So all glory to God, and hang in there, because we're right there for you. For those of you that are losing family members that are crossing over at this line, I know what that feels like. It's not fun. It's terrible. It feels like a betrayal. But don't forget, the tribulation is the time. It is the comeback. It is the revival that's bigger than any other time in history. And the rapture has to happen to prove its point for where they stand, that they weren't worthy to go, and that they need to clean up their act as well as everything else. It's the total proof. It does have to happen, and it is going to happen. So look up for your redemption draws nigh. It's here. It's finally here. All right. All glory to God. God bless. I'll see you in the air, or I get another chance, and I don't know if I will. I'll talk to you next time in the Leashing. Bye.